is a very huge misconception in society that introverts don't talk and then extroverts like to talk a lot. It's not to say that extroverts don't like alone time. It's just that they don't require that much. Last time when I was an introvert, right? Well, after one meeting with somebody, I just want to not see anyone for a whole week. And now I just need maybe a few hours in a week by myself and it's enough already. The definition of an introvert and an extrovert is based on how much you draw energy from where it is. An introvert draws more energy by themselves. So that's why they like to do reading, be by themselves. Extroverts, on the other hand, they draw energy from people. The more socializing they do, the more hyper they get.
Welcome back, guys, to the Nest Space podcast. And today we have Rebecca with us. So,
Hi.
Rebecca, maybe you can say hi to the camera.
Sure. Hi, everyone.
All right. So, today's topic in our podcast will be empowering fresh talent to discover their potential. But before we go ahead to discuss on this topic, can we have a short introduction by Rebecca, our guest?
Sure, no problem. Hi, everyone. It's really nice to be here. As you know, my name is Rebecca, and I am a licensed counselor. I do also do lay coaching for a matchmaking company as well. So that's currently what I'm doing. How I decided to go into counseling, I think it's just more of my experience as a student, speaking to people, and also working in the corporate world for a couple of years. And I've just come to realize that a lot of people have potential to live fuller lives, but because of life struggles or even just family issues, for example, that keeps them from living the life that they want. I just want to be part of that journey to help them discover skills for themselves and also empower them to live better lives. Yeah, so this is just a little bit about me.
Thank you, Rebecca. So, just to understand a little bit further, how long have you been in this industry?
Not very long, maybe about a year or so.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say your specialization when it comes to counseling?
I've seen a lot of clients, but mainly I realize I attract a lot of adults for self-esteem issues, career, burnt out, some family issues as well, mostly interpersonal relationships as well.
So yeah, I think today's topic will be covering more towards career, employee side.
Yes.
So this is because we found out that many fresh employees or like fresh graduates, they may not have a clear understanding of their own strength and weaknesses. Maybe they have a rough idea, but not like specifically. They know their strength and weaknesses or even their unique abilities. So this topic can help individuals gain their self-awareness and identify their core competencies, which enable them to make informed decisions when it comes to their career and also their career path. So perhaps we can go with the very first question. So for you, Rebecca, do you think that certain individuals they are naturally inclined towards a specific profession when it comes to their career choices?
I think it's a very big yes. I mean, just looking at my own life, right? If you ask me to look at accounts, I will not be very good at it because I can't seem to balance my credit and debit most of the time. So being an accountant will not be something that I will look into. And how I decided to be a counselor to begin with is because I realized that one, I have a knack to relate with people very well. I do have, and I hope so, pretty good listening skills too. So that's also the reason why initially during my corporate days, I went into things like marketing, human resources, because those are very people related. Then eventually went into counseling. So to answer your question, and just based on my personal career experience, I do think that it's a very big yes, that your strengths are, people are usually pretty inclined to certain professions than others. Yeah.
So just now you mentioned for yourself, you found out that your strength is more towards people oriented.
Correct.
Yeah. So how did you actually like the light bulb? How did you come about that?
It wasn't a very clear like, oh, I am trying to find out things about myself. It's just when I went into university, it was a very foreign place to me because I have to leave my hometown. And I told myself, okay, do you want to make friends? Yes. Can you live without friends? No. And at that point of time, I was quite shy as a person. So I told myself, okay, then you have to get rid of your shyness and just talk to people. And when I tried it, then I realized, hey, actually, I'm not too bad at this like friend thing, you know. So that's how I realized that not only people enjoy talking to me, they also just naturally pour a lot of their, struggles and stuff like that to me. So that's kind of how I noticed it.
But how you find yourself from like before that you say you're a shy kind of person, right? And is it considered like introvert?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I will try not to tell you all my whole life story because that will not be within that hour. But I think it's more of like I realized how timid and shy I was.
Okay.
And because of that, I associated to being an introvert. Then when I went into uni, that's when I realized that if I continue to stay like that, I won't have friends. And that wasn't something that I wanted. So I explored. And then the more I talk to people, the more I realize actually I enjoy people's company quite a bit. And you can say that it shifted. So now I am not the really loud extrovert, but I can sit in a corner with a group of people, not talk, right? And I'll still be very happy. Yeah.
Okay. So actually, it actually means that introvert can be like, is it called transform to become an extrovert?
Definitely. It can be the other way around as well, especially like a MCO period. A lot of extroverts have turned introverts too because they realize, hey, actually I can enjoy my own company too. So it can be both ways.
I think I'm that person,
Extrovert to introvert.
Yeah, extrovert to introvert.
No, you are introvert to introvert.
Yeah, but if actually when I talk, right, I just keep talking and non-stop like 2-3 hours. Yeah, but then sometimes I'm not sure is it called introvert. Sometimes like weekend, right? Because like you talk like for like whole weeks, right? Then weekend you want to find your own me time, like Sunday like that. Okay, just stay inside your room, me time, right? But is it considered like introvert at that moment? Yeah lah, but is that person is actually an introvert?
Okay, this is a very good question. And I think is a very huge misconception in society that introverts don't talk and then extroverts like to talk a lot.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily the case because the definition of an introvert and an extrovert is based on how much you draw energy from where it is. Like for example, an introvert draws more energy by themselves. So that's why they like to do like reading, be by themselves.
Okay.
Extroverts on the other hand, they draw energy from people. So the more socializing they do, the more hyper they get. So it's not to say that extroverts don't like alone time. It's just that they don't require that much. Like for example, last time when I was an introvert, right? Well, after one meeting with somebody, I just want to not see anyone for a whole week. And now I just need maybe a few hours in a week by myself and it's enough already.
Okay.
So that's the difference.
So now you're actually more like extrovert, huh?
I think
draw energy.
the graph, right? Yeah, more inclined towards extrovert.
Correct.
Yeah, it's actually the extrovert is actually increased, introvert went down.
Yes,
right?
correct. Yeah, it's always a spectrum. Not a dead on like category kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Something
actually
new.
Yeah. I didn't know that. But I actually tries to quite confused, like extrovert or introvert, introvert. Because sometimes you're inside your room by yourself.
Bipolar, that one.
But what I usually encourage people in like when they are confused about these things, right, is to try not to box themselves or purposely box themselves into introvert or extrovert. Because sometimes I also see a lot of introverts, right, because they say that they are introverts, they don't make themselves try new things. And I think it's very limiting. And same for extroverts as well, where because they're so used to loudness and stuff, they are not encouraged to be by themselves.
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes I just tell people, hey, it's okay if you don't know. You just know what you like. At that point of time, if you want to hang out with people, hang out.
Yeah, yeah.
If you want to be by yourself, be by yourself. Just be unapologetic about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's actually like talking about introvert, extrovert, right? And then we are talking about career because we want to help people like understand yourself in your career and you can do well in your career, right? So how this like like extrovert and introvert, right? How he actually can help us, right, in the career. Yeah.
That's a good question. So I think for it goes back to what I said earlier lah, where it's okay to not put yourself in a certain category. It's okay. Because I have seen introverts, wow, they are fantastic salespeople. You know? But they will tell me like, by the end of the day, I need my time lah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's knowing what you're good at and what you need to recharge. Yeah, rather than introvert, extrovert or not.
Okay.
Because all these categories can really limit you and you don't open up yourselves to new experiences. Like for me, when I just came out to work, I still saw myself as an introvert lah. So when I go on, because I did on the ground marketing for a while, so you need to meet a lot of people.
Yeah.
And every time, 30 minutes to an hour before it, I will get super nervous because I'll be like, oh, what if I say the wrong thing? Or what if I do something stupid? You know, that kind of stuff. But then when I am actually in the thing, I enjoy myself so much. It's just that after that, I will just take some time off lah to rest lor. Yeah, so it's really understanding that balance, and it's okay to push yourself a little bit. But if it's really not something that is for you, it's okay to be okay with that. Yeah.
But how is actually the person that you can find your own strength and understand your own limit, right? Because I found actually a lot of fresh grad after they graduate, they don't know what is their strength. And they like, okay, example, they are marketing, right? Marketing. Then they study marketing, then they went for like the company apply for marketing job, but they cannot do well. You know, it's actually like they don't understand their strength well, so then they cannot perform well. So how a person, right, can maybe advise that how a person that you can actually find your own strength. I mean, like start from the step one, not like you go like totally understand yourself already, but how to like start from the step one to find your own strength.
Well, for this, right, it's very important that we view people holistically rather than just career. Because even if you're not doing well in your career, it doesn't mean that you don't have strengths. It could just be either the environment is not highlighting your strengths well, or it's just not something that you are interested in. Because it's one thing to know your strength, it's also another thing to know your motivations for doing a certain thing. Yeah, because like for me, I do enjoy people, but I can't do sales. Because that's just not something that I see motivation in. Because I will feel too bad that the person has to pay for the thing that I'm selling them. So it doesn't align with the motivations that I have, but I am pretty sure that I can close a sale. You know, so it's things like that. And if you ask me how to figure out these things, one is really just try. So if you came out as a marketing graduate, I think that is a pretty good compass to go towards lah. Maybe just search for marketing jobs first. Go into it. Just understand how the industry is. Then you decide whether it's for you or not. If during your study period you already kind of know that marketing is not something that you like, then be open to new experiences. Yeah, just maybe HR or whatever it is lah. Just be open about it. One. Two, I think you can draw from your life experiences also outside of career. So it could be people that you mingle with, family. Can ask them, like, what kind of personality do you think I have? What do you think I would be good at? Not. Then it's a good compass also to go towards that. Another way, it could just be personality test. That helps too, all those DISC and stuff like that. Although it's just on paper, it's a good reference or guide.
Yeah.
But most importantly, I think is to understand why you do what you do. So motivations is also very important. Like if you want a comfy life, for example, be able to afford things and stuff. So you don't necessarily need to be very picky with the work that you do as long as you are competent with it. So things like that you need to consider.
So actually in the like here, right, first is actually just how I'm thinking what you mentioned is understand yourself. Like you go to explore first, right?
Yeah.
And then second is actually like maybe to do the assessment, the personality test, right? And then
Ask your friends and family.
or ask your friends, family, and the fifth, what's that? Fourth one is
Fourth one is no, I think it's just these three.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's
It
just
is
these
three, right?
Yeah.
So I'm
Or understanding your motivations.
understanding your motivation. So this actually the four thing that actually is can able to help people to understand what you want. Okay.
The very first step.
First step, right?
Somewhere to start.
Yeah,
Correct.
I think it's actually because the 0 to 1, that the breakthrough, right, is very important.
Correct.
Because when you have breakthrough already, then you can actually from 1 to 10 is easy. But the 0 to 1 is actually that one is
Correct.
very hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can't expect everyone to be able to dig the answers within them. Because some people are just maybe they don't really know how to understand selves by themselves. So it's okay to just draw inspiration from other places. Then you define what it looks like for you, and
Yeah.
that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, yeah.
I think just to understand, right, when a person is stuck at this period of time, not understanding their strengths and weaknesses, especially after entering their work life, how does counseling help them?
That's a very good question. So, a counselor helps you to gain different perspectives towards things. So, when somebody comes in for career issues, usually we dig beyond that. So, we will ask about family, we will ask about your background quite a bit. Then we try to help you piece pieces together. Yeah, like for example, if let's say you grew up with in a very strict environment where you don't get to choose a lot of things in life. So the reason why you became a doctor is because my parents asked me to. So sometimes the counselor would actually challenge these kind of thoughts, where we would ask like, okay, if your parents are not involved, then what would you like to do? Yeah, then you can figure out your motivations from there. And then after that, we will kind of talk about what are some of the more realistic options. Because, for example, like in this case, right, you still have to think about your parents, right? But you want to do what you want to do. So what is that sweet spot that we can find? And what are some of the resources that we can look into? Or perhaps some changes in your lifestyle that can help you get towards that. And I think a lot of fresh grads, they also have this misconception that once I decide what I want to do now, it's going to be for 40 years.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But they don't realize that actually your bachelor degree is really just a paper. And when you go
Agree.
in, you won't be doing what you study most of the time.
Yeah.
And it's okay to start over again.
Yeah.
Because the experiences you gain, even though you don't know what you want, at least you know what you don't want.
Yeah.
And
But
that
I
helps.
mean, it's actually like, okay, I mean, like for those fresh grad, already graduate, you cannot do anything,
Yeah.
right? But then those, like, before you go into study, like university, right? So I think, is it like, from the age, right, like 16 and that, is it possible for them to find their own strength?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that, honestly, that would require this kid to be quite mature to be able to get there. Because 90% of the time when you're 16, right? The inspiration you get from is really from TV shows.
Oh yeah.
It's
yeah.
just what you read, what you
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that looks cool. Maybe I'll just go into it,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah,
they
yeah.
realize it's a whole different ball game. So I think at that point of time, it's okay to not know what you want, lah. That's fine. And I think the education system also bombards you with a lot of information.
Yeah, too.
And it doesn't specialize in
Yes,
something.
yes.
So when you have too much, it's hard to process because it's like the buffet dilemma. When you
Yeah.
have too much
Yeah,
food
yeah,
in front
yeah,
of you, you don't know what to eat.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
So it's okay.
Yeah. That means actually the parents actually play in very important role on the journey, right? So the parents, because the parents is the one who with them all the time. So if the parent have the have the knowledge of the importance of understanding your own strength or limit, right? I think the parents actually can help the children while they grow. Then they can actually implement this kind of ideas or knowledge to them. Because like for example, I see like Mark Zuckerberg, the Facebook owner, from since young, like he know how to coding already. But the parent is the one who influence it. Like Warren Buffett also, and then what's that name? Bill Gates also, since young they know the importance of coding. Their parents is actually the one who influence them.
Yeah.
So I think it's actually like what I say. I think the parents start with the parents, right? The parents then to the children is actually very important.
But
Yeah.
for the parents out there, right, I think it's one thing that parents influence, very, very huge influence, because for kids, they are your role models already. Parents are
Yeah.
their role models.
Okay.
So they have nowhere else to, find other inspiration. So it's very important that parents understand to empower them, but not to stifle them. Because I think a lot of sometimes like certain parenting styles is either my way or the highway.
Yeah.
Where like you have to be a doctor. Why? Because you have to be lah. There's no apparent reason.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's also maybe certain family pressures as well. Like, why do you need to be a doctor? Oh, because we have been doctors for generations. You should be a doctor too.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't say is the best thing for the kid. So I think for parents, right, it's important to tell them what you feel, but also be open that your kid might have different preferences or different skills that you can hone on lah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think providing the exposure
Correct.
Okay.
to the kids so that they can discover their strength and their weaknesses.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that in that way it would be helpful for the
Yes.
kid.
Yeah, I think I
Definitely.
see the needs of it. We should do something on it.
Definitely
Yeah,
lah.
yeah.
I honestly I'm very grateful towards my dad. My dad is a teacher by profession. So that time when I was choosing my degree, right, I told him, hey, I wanted to go into psychology. Honestly, my inspiration was FBI. I wanted to go into the FBI, but it's okay. So was just very curious about human behavior. He was very supportive of it. Then after that, right, I hope my dad doesn't watch this, but after that, right, when I got into my degree, then psychology is not something that Asians prefer.
Yeah.
And a lot of people went up to him and be like, hey, aren't you worried that your kid will not have a job when she gets out, And he said something, I didn't hear it, somebody told me. He said, it's okay. Even if she becomes a painter and only earns like $50 a month, that's okay. At least she's doing what she likes. We can always work together as a family and work around it. So when that came to my ear, I felt so motivated.
Yeah.
And at that point, I also knew that studying psychology might not have jobs that I want. But I was so motivated that, okay, I don't want my parents to suffer because, I can't earn enough. You know what? I'm going to study well, make sure I get good grades, and I will find a job that I like. And I can earn decently, so at least my parents won't worry. So that was really the motivation, even up until now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and solely because my dad empowered me to do
Yeah.
what I wanted to do, rather than telling me, hey, you should become XYZ.
Yeah, yeah. I
Mm.
think actually from the parents' side, right? I think they just worry one thing only. Whether can you make for a living or not.
Correct.
Whatever job that you do, as long you don't do the illegal stuff, things like, and then things that not moral, and you can make a living, right? I think your parents are okay lah. You just do whatever you want, yeah. But at first, before that, they scared. You know, a lot of parents are afraid that you fall down. You know, when you fall down, how more say
Correct, correct.
kind of things like that. Yeah, and also I think the second thing is we always live in other people punya
World.
world,
Yeah.
Correct.
right? It's like my parents is like, why you need to study, become a doctor. Yeah, please lah. I'm bad in memorizing. I'm bad in reading things. You ask me to study doctor, it's like killing myself like that. You know, because I'm a visual person.
Yeah.
I'm my learning style is visual. So people use the words, right? Everyone like word. I turn the word into picture. That is me. Yeah. So you ask me to study doctor, if I turn all the biogeography into a picture lah. But I mean like, it's memang not you, you know. Yeah, my parents the first thing on the what he said, because he listened what the accountant said. Wow, become doctor you can earn very good money.
Yeah.
I was like thinking, now doctor also very charm lah.
Yeah.
As a lot doctor also don't have job to do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Understand.
there's a lot a lot of things that actually in the market that you can earn for living. Not necessarily you need to study doctor, engineer,
Correct.
accountant.
Exactly.
What's that? What else again? It's like,
That's
why?
the top three.
Yeah,
Top three.
why always this few job ne? They don't have other job one man. Then
Yeah.
everyone come out don't have job.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you wanna apply for job, can 2,000 because here there's a 50 people are waiting for the lead. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. But going back to understanding self, right, as you were talking, I remembered something where we can always draw inspiration from our parents. And it doesn't have to be parents directly educating you about things. It's just pure observation. Like my dad is a teacher. And my mom was doing some administration work lah. And honestly speaking, my dad was very happy at his work because he has a very structured mind. So when he breaks things down, right, he can break down the most complicated things for a layman to understand. So he is in the profession that is suitable for him, his strength.
Yeah, yeah.
My mom, on the other hand, right, unfortunately wasn't the case because growing up, she's the handy woman in the house. So she likes to fix like light bulbs and stuff like that. But you put her in admin. And at that point, I mean, that time, poor ma. So needed a job. And then that was the only thing available. So she just did admin for a very long time. And honestly, every time I come home, I will feel for her because I know that she's not very happy with what she's doing, but she just needed to do it. So this is where a good example of, you know, strengths are not being used. Yeah, but she's very happy at doing things at home lah. Yeah, so it's also through just observation from, you know, your parents, you can learn a lot of things. Where I realized that I take after my dad's mind, where things are very structured. I also take after my mom, where I love making DIY house models, you know, stuff like that. I like to tinker with things. I love going to IKEA and buy stuff and build. Yeah, it's stuff like that where I observe, I took after these things from my parents. That also helps lah.
Yeah. Next time, you know, if you want some IKEA things to fix, call Rebecca.
Can.
Yeah. Rebecca said, "Oh, are you coming for psychology?" No. I'm looking for people to install my furniture. Yeah.
Okay, so right now we discuss more towards personal, how they understand about their strengths and weaknesses. If we bring it to a team setting, right, coming from a team leader, how would how to make a team leader's life easier when it comes to understanding their team? So in order for them to place the right people at the right job scope, how would that work?
That's a very good question. So I used to work for a startup. So startup, we have the luxury of the team being quite small lah. So I think what was good is that my manager actually knew all of us personally. So it wasn't just work, what we could do, but she kind of knew what was going on in our lives as well. And it's through personal sharing that she found out certain things about us. Like, for example, motivations, something that I've been saying a lot. And also fears, you know, like, oh, I'm scared that I'm not good enough, you know, stuff like that. And with that information, right, she tries to place us in the right places. Yeah, like for me, she knew that I just wanted people to feel belong and feel empowered in the work that they do. So she put me in, that time was HR lah. So she put me in places where I organize events, I manage the office, stuff like that. And I was very happy doing those things. And she tries not to put too much of the admin work under me unless it's necessary, because I wasn't the most detailed person around. So that was given to someone else lah. So this is a good example of it where, like I said, you can't look at people just in one area. You need to look at them holistically and really get to know your members. And there is always a reason why they join your company. Whether it's believing in the company's mission and vision, or even just trying to make a living because you just pay better than the previous job. These motivations are important because at least you know how they work. Then it will help you to place them better.
Okay. Yeah. But that's why it's actually make a lot of sense. When you say your leader, they know how to apply. I said because I know a lot of manager can't do that unless this person from a psychologist background and he understand this. If not, they cannot place the thing well.
Correct.
Yeah. So then it's like example, you hire like a videographer. He can know the basic of videographer, but he cannot move on already, move forward already. Why is actually the happen?
Oh, you mean like when somebody is stuck at where they are?
Yeah,
And
is
they
it
can't
actually
proceed?
because of their limit or their strength or kind of thing?
So it's a bit difficult to answer this question because it's quite vague. There could be many reasons lah, but at least from the top of my head is one, he's just not placed at the right place. So it could be that. Two, maybe the employee is just okay where he is.
Yeah.
So there's no
Okay.
push that they want to be better.
Okay.
And that's okay too. Third, I think it is also just understanding their motivations. So sometimes the person, they want to push, but they are not given the opportunity to. It could be that as well, where they cannot proceed. Like, for example, if let's say his motivation is always to be appreciated for his work, for his work. So words of affirmation lah. Then, but the team leader is a very like not words of affirmation person, so he doesn't get the reassurance. Then he feels deflated.
Okay.
Then he doesn't feel like I want to push further.
So then if like this, then how they click?
Yeah. What is
correct.
the solution?
You know, it's like this person is an affirmation and this person is an affirmation. How to do that?
Yeah, so it comes back to fundamentals where we explore love languages. So I think there are quite a few companies that I'm aware of. They have been doing these love language exercises with their employees, where they explore whether it's words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, or gifts. So touch is not explored lah, cause it might be inappropriate. So these 4 things is explored, and usually what they do is they will run the test, then they will discuss about it. Then the manager will kind of know, okay, this one like gift one. So every time do something well, okay, I buy you
Buy gift.
chocolate. You know, like, or I give you gift card. You know, some is acts of service where if they need help in something, they like it when somebody offers help for them. Yeah, like, oh, I'm stuck in this Excel sheet. Oh, you know what? Let me find some YouTube videos that can help you, stuff like that. Some people are words of affirmation, which was the previous example. Then some is quality time, where they like spending time with colleagues. They like spending time getting to know who their manager is, stuff like that. So to answer your question, if the person is not really words of affirmation and is handling somebody who is words of affirmation, it's really learning to use your words more, but it's also two-way ma.
Yeah.
So it's also for the employee to understand that okay, the manager is not a very words person. It's okay, but you can always ask for feedback. Yeah, that's what the employee can do. Like, hey, what do you feel about this work? Oh, I
Yeah.
think this is good, but this you can improve. Yeah, two-way communication.
Oh, that is actually very smart one. If the boss cannot do it, then the employee you sing more a bit, then you ask.
Go and ask for what you want.
Yeah.
It's
But
clear.
then the boss is just ignore. How?
At least got try, right?
Correct. If that's the case, then it's the manager's
Problem.
yeah, unfortunately.
That is a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah. I think my love language all for high.
So
Hint, hint.
that's why it's not a lot of people can handle your emotion. Oh, for high.
How if all four is high?
You have to pick one.
That
You
means
cannot be too greedy, ma.
that means actually you don't understand yourself well.
Oh no.
No,
You went down that route.
myself too well already. Okay, then how about team leaders micromanaging? Why do they micromanage? Is it because of trust or not understanding?
Sometimes, honestly, it could just be the employee not pulling their weight lah. It could just be that. But more often than not, is the manager having a certain expectation of how things look like, and they cannot let go of it. It could be that. And sometimes it's just trust issues. Yeah, you just feel like your way is always better. Then you couldn't find the balance lah for it. Yeah, but it's micromanaging is something that is very detrimental because you will end up limiting what your employee can do or your team member can do, and they end up doing what you want just because that's the way. Then they end up not learning a lot of things also, and especially if you do that to somebody who's very creative, it will feel very deflating lah.
But I think they tend to not understand that they are micromanaging. So is there like any way for team leaders to understand like what is the awareness? How can they obtain the awareness?
More often than not, right, I actually think that managers know one. It's just no employee or team member is willing to speak up and tell the manager that, hey, you're micromanaging. So this is something that I feel, and I could be wrong, that a lot of Asian companies don't foster, which is to learn how to manage up. So, because a lot of times it's always just managers managing team members, but team members need to also manage managers' expectations too, because it's a two-way communication.
Yes, agree.
Sometimes like certain managers, they ask for the moon, right? You just can't, man, because you're on Earth, right? So it's just something that then after that you will hear like employees be like, my manager's asking for the impossible, and it's so annoying, blah, 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 blah. So it's just that lack of communication. How do you solve it? It's really sitting down and be like, hey, what do you want? Okay, I want this, this. You can go a step deeper. Why does it have to be like that? Because A, B, C, D, E. Okay, I understand now. Then you go and do your work, It's also the manager telling the team member, this is what I need. Be realistic. What can you deliver? For those that you can't deliver, what's the strategy here? It's being collaborative about it rather than giving just instructions lah.
Yeah.
But I think that's a very ideal situation.
Correct.
Yeah.
Realistically, is that how it is?
It's actually if you manage like what you say, manage up, right? If you manage up, it's solve the issue. Because why your manager or someone they want to micromanage is because they feel that you don't understand.
Correct.
That's why they want to micromanage you. But if you you manage up, means oh, you understand what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay lah. Then you solve the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
I think it's very
also
good.
learning how to say it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you manage
Yep,
up, you
yep.
end up offending your manager
Correct.
Yep.
because you don't use the right words.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah.
So it's learning how to do it. So
Mm.
I think one of the things that I learned from my previous job is that don't always come with problems to your manager. So let's say there's something that she wants me to do and I can't deliver. Instead of just telling her I can't deliver and then you just sit there,
Yeah.
you give her a different solution. This is something I can't deliver, but I think I can do this that will achieve the same goal that you're looking for.
Yep.
Like, how do you feel about it?
Yep.
That's one way.
Yep.
Another way is always repeat back what the manager wants first. So using listening skills. Okay, from what I understand, this is what you want, correct? Then you ask deeper about it first before you provide the solutions. That's also another way to do it lah.
Yeah. It's actually coaching back to your manager. You coach back, you know. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we also need to remember that most managers, they are also middlemen. So they have higher ups to report to.
Yeah.
So sometimes the stress, right, unfortunately gets projected to their team members lah. And then they need to get done because if the team members don't perform, it also shows that he or she is not performing as well. So it's also just addressing these things. But of course, this is ideal lah. If you're able to address these things, then it will be easier to work together.
True.
Then how about motivating the team to ensure the performance is high? How can the team leader do that?
So one thing would be understanding your love language. That helps. This is from an individual level. But of course, if it's a very big team,
Yeah.
I understand that you don't have the bandwidth for it, and that's okay. Another way is collectively. So always align. Let your team members know who you are and what you stand for. Like for example, there are certain managers, they stand for accuracy in data. No matter what you do, the data has to be accurate. Okay? Then your team members know, okay, this is what my manager wants. Whatever I do, that's the direction. There are also managers where they are a bit more people, for example. They'll just be like, I want you to do your best at what you are doing. If you feel that you're not doing your best, tell me, let me come up with something that will empower you to do better. Then your employees will know what you stand for as a manager, as a team leader. Then it's easier for them to be motivated too. And if they are not on board with what you have, it's either open communication, how can you work together with different values, or you might want to consider either a different department or maybe a different job already at this point if it really gets bad.
And
No.
yeah, so that was when the team is organized already, right? So let's just say as a team leader, they have to hire more people in. So what do you think is the best thing for people to do prior to hiring a person?
That's great because I did recruitment for a while.
Ah.
So is understanding job fit, team fit, culture fit. 3 of these things are very important. For the manager, job fit and team fit is important for you because 1, you need to know whether the person is competent in their work. 2 is team fit. Team fit can be 2 things. 1, how the person fits individually into the team. 2, how does the team dynamics change when you add this person into the pool. So individually is understanding why they came here for this interview in the first place. Yeah. And then another good question to ask is why you're leaving your previous job. And not just asking about why, but probe just a little bit further. Because sometimes, unfortunately, as interviewees, right, we tend to have quite standard answers.
Yeah.
Like why do you want to leave your previous job? And your answer will be, oh, I'm not growing enough, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You can probe a little bit deeper. You can always ask, okay, so what are some of the ways that you have tried, to talk to your manager about it, to give you that growth. Yeah, and then see what they say. Whether they are a go-getter or they just leave it as it is because opportunities didn't come, stuff like that. So that is also a good way to kind of suss people's motivation out.
Yeah.
Team dynamics wise is really observe how the person carries themselves. Yeah, like of course there are some obvious traits that you don't want lah. Like for example, arrogance and stuff like that. You wouldn't want to you meddle into your pool, ma. But there are some things that are a bit more covert. They are not as clear. Like for example, if this person really likes the job, you know, but you can tell like, okay, he just wants something stable. So potentially he might not do more than he should. How does this affect my current pool? Yeah, so all these things need to be vetted through lah, before you actually hire a person. And this is through good questions and also just observation skills. And it's not something that comes naturally to most people, but it can be learned.
So just now you mentioned 3 things: job fit, team fit, and
Culture fit.
culture fit. So how about culture fit?
So culture fit, I personally think that yes, you should consider, but it depends on how big of a manager you are. Yeah, if you are like a head of like ASEAN or something like that, maybe culture fit is something that you want to look into. But not to say to completely ignore it. It's just your focus should be on job fit and team fit lah. But this is my 2 cents. Culture fit wise is really, what does the company stand for? What kind of culture does the company want? Does this person fit into this in a larger scale in the organization?
Okay, so that was from a team leader's perspective, right? I just want to ask you one more thing.
Sure.
It's just for those that are attending the interview, so they tend to ask what can the company provide to them. What would be your one tip for them to ace the interview or to be a valuable employee in the company?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. It depends on what kind of answers you want to get from the company lah. I think it's important for interviewees to understand that yes, the company's hiring you for something, and you should know what the benefits are and stuff. But they are also paying you to do a job, so you also need to contribute some way to the company to be deemed valuable. So I think a few questions that you can ask. One is that what does the company like? What kind of maybe systems or perhaps actionable steps that the company does to ensure my success in the company. So that way you can tell that one, how you fit into the bigger picture of the company. 2, the company will also kind of tell you the benefits already without actually asking how much are you paying me. Yeah, that's one way to ask. So far, this is probably one of the better questions to ask that comes to my mind. Yeah, if I think of anything else in this conversation, I'll let you know.
Nice.
I think mostly the company will ask you one question. Like normally they will put there your expectation salary, right? Like we put 5,000, 2-year experience, 5,000. Then company will ask you, what is actually the value to justify your this 5,000?
Correct.
I think that is actually a lot of people cannot answer.
Correct.
Yeah.
So in this case, right, it's the same thing as writing your resume. Because during my marketing days, I had to vet through a lot of student resumes. So one very big mistake is to write down your job description. If the company is looking for your job description, they can just see it at the other company's website. So you will need to write it in a way where how did you contribute based on your job descriptions? Like good sentences, for example. You can write, increase 20% of revenue by introducing a certain system.
Yeah.
Or let a group of 3 team members to do a certain event, stuff like that, rather than just writing your description, code and write stuff, that kind of thing. Yeah, that helps.
Yeah, that means actually the job that you do and the achievement that you
Yeah.
get, right?
Achievement.
Yeah. You know, actually, we met a lot. Is actually, why you. I mean, it's not that the company won't give, but it's just like want to understand why you would for this price, right? Then they answer, oh, because the inflation. So the inflation and your job ability is two different things, right? The company won't hire you because of inflation. I want to pity you, right? The company is not NGO,
Correct.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is actually your any advice for them? Those people who are like, oh, this is because of inflation.
Yeah.
honestly, really don't look for a job just for money lah.
Mm.
Yeah, like it's best if you can see how you can grow in the company, what kind of skill sets you can. But in this kind of case, right, where if your motivation is purely salary, that's fine too. It's just be smart about the way you
Answer the question.
Yeah, don't be like, oh, because of inflation. Honestly, the company doesn't care whether you're affected by inflation. But really just be smart about it. The interview is your chance to sell yourself. The product is you. Yeah, so
Good.
you can't sell yourself by, oh, inflation, therefore we're going to increase prices, right? Even if you go and eat up fun, then they tell you, oh, inflation, I'm going to increase by 20 cents. You're also not happy lah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's finding ways lah, like, okay, this I think is justifiable because I have done XXX amount for this company. What I can do for you is I can replicate what I did previously. I can even add more. And this package also comes with the fact that this is my long-term goal, for example. And I see how the company fits into my long-term goal. And I think I can go quite far because of XYZ. Yeah, it's really a sales pitch more than anything else.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree. It's actually you because a lot of people just like thinking the mindset is interview,
Yeah.
right? You never thought of you are the product to sell,
Exactly.
right? And then what is actually why the company want to buy this product, right? Yeah, that
Yeah.
is actually a very good one.
But in order for you to sell the product, you need to know your product very well.
Yeah.
So if
Yes.
you don't know yourself, very difficult to sell.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So it's other things like some other questions popped up while we were talking. Like for example, you can also ask like, oh, how does the company reward their employees based on their merit? That is also another way to ask about salary. The previous question, how does the company guarantee an employee success? That is to show career growth. Like, am I just being hired just to do one thing and my career path is like not there one? Or is there really a proper career path for me? That's also some good
Yeah.
questions to ask.
Yeah.
lah.
I think I love the last part that you mentioned. In order to sell the product, you need to understand the
Yeah,
product.
product.
Correct.
Yeah.
So which means you need to be aware of yourself, understand yourself.
Correct. Yeah. And when I say understand self, right, honestly speaking, this is my personal belief lah, where in these 70 to 80 years of our life, we will never be able to fully understand ourselves one because we are very multidimensional. But at least at this juncture of your career, know what you want now.
Yep.
Yeah, no one's asking you to think 5 years, 10 years ahead, even if the interviewer asks you about it. At least you be truthful to yourself that, okay, this is momentarily what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And I think the company can provide.
Yeah.
Yeah, the interviewers will appreciate honesty as well. One lah.
I think it's actually more like if the interview asks you like 5 to 10 years, right? He's actually not asking like what's that? It's actually not like asking you whether you have planned for like 5 to 10. It's actually want to understand whether you have understand yourself well or not. You have your goal or not.
Yeah.
But to achieve that, maybe sometimes people will be changed. Even a lot of unicorn company, right? They say, wow, this is our 10 years plan. After the 10 years, actually different, totally different, really. So because this is your plan, but when you come for the journey, right, everything will be changed one. So our life, I cannot just like, this is the thing we need to do. But embrace changing actually is actually the best way to make yourself better. Yeah.
Correct.
All right. So anything else?
No, I'm
Okay, so I guess that's all for today's podcast. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Rebecca,
Great.
Yeah,
for
Thank you for
joining
having
us.
me.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Right now, many people are looking for work-life balance when choosing a career to have a fulfilling and happy life. In Nespace, we are a gym for mind that empower your mental fitness to excel in your career. Join our classes to learn from industry expert, career coaches, clinical psychologists, and registered counselors that give insight on the career tips, career growth, salary, and self-growth. Check out at Nespace today. Attend our classes for a career blowout.